The views and opinions expressed on Real Talk with Horace Sheffield are not those of WADL TV 38 or Adele Broadcasting Corporation.
Giving you real talk, real talk, real talk. Take a walk down this path through Detroit, This is real talk, real talk, real talk. Real issues straight from the heart, Giving you real talk, real talk, real talk. Take a walk down this path through Detroit.
Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm Reverend Sheffield. Right now I'm in Florida, but what's happening in Detroit is so critical and so important. I had to do a special edition to weigh in on Olympia development, something taking place in downtown Detroit, as I say, will connect from the boulevard down in between downtown and midtown, becomes a brand new town because of the efforts of people like Keith Bradford and Andrew Cantor. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
So let's first let people know what you're trying to do. I mean, I think it's called the district, and what all that encompasses, and what difference that will make to what we now know as a revisioned and new growing downtown area.
Sure. Andrew, I'll jump in and please add on if you don't mind. So thanks for the opportunity to share our story with you today, Reverend. So the District of Detroit, what we've been talking about are 10 new projects that we've announced in partnership, Olympia Development, in partnership with related companies that will create this vibrant district of retail, hospitality, office, as well as housing, and in particular, affordable housing. We're very proud of that component of the project. In fact, 20% of the residential units will be at 50% of the area median income. There's also public space, green space that associated with it. And then the Michigan Center of Innovation is another critical component that's in the mix as well to bring additional academic opportunities to the district. Not that we didn't already have it with the Mike Illett School of Business and Wayne State, but it's a critical component. So that's the core of the project, and the great benefit here is it's really creating a ton of jobs, 18,000 jobs, in fact, 12,000 construction and 6,000 permanent jobs. So that's that would be the 30-second elevator speech on the project.
Sure. Andrew, you want to give your synopsis of why this is important?
Sure. I mean, I think it does start with jobs, right? It starts and finishes in some ways with jobs, because it's really about making sure that people have the opportunity to take care of their families, to buy that home, to pay for that home, and really participate in the growth of Detroit. And so with the 6,000 permanent jobs, we're talking about careers here, and that's a critical piece. I also think that this is about making sure that Detroit is ready and equipped for the future and is ready to grow and really take advantage of all the growth that's already occurred to bring more benefits to the city. And so we represent a national developer. The related companies operates across the country. We are focused on creating strong and vibrant downtowns with mix of uses and mixes of incomes. And we think that this is a place that really allows Detroit through this project to compete, right? To compete for the kinds of jobs, the kinds of opportunities that are going elsewhere right now, and to keep all those talented Detroiters who right now may feel like they need to leave here. So the number of people that we've talked to whose granddaughters or grandsons or sons or daughters got their degree and then left is really tragic, because they didn't feel that opportunity was there. And that is just a lost opportunity that we think this project helps to address.
Yes, so my family's been in Detroit for over 110 years. My grandfather came in from rural South, became a Black foreman in the foundries at Ford, where my dad worked under him. And I was in Detroit in the late 50s, early 60s, when this was a beautiful, vibrant town, no decaying neighborhoods, doormans and huts. And so I remember that. There's a whole generation of people in Detroit that don't know Detroit as it once was. And I say all that to say this, is that the current administration, Mayor Duggan and others are dubbed in a certain way, but I worked for Coleman Young, and I know what he did and how he believed in a vibrant downtown and setting up downtown development authorities. And I just want to bring that up, because this is nothing new. This is not something that we just got to. This is something that's been used elsewhere and it's something been used here before. You want to speak to that for a moment, or either one of you?
I think the mayor did a tremendous job at his State of the City this past week, really addressing this, that this is a continuation of a strategy that has led to continued growth and investment in Detroit through many years and has led to a huge amount of job creation. And so, we're pleased to be part of that trajectory. I think that it's clear cities they're not static things, right? They are either growing or they're declining. And so the question really is here, do we want to grow? Do we want to lean into this and create that opportunity? And, is the right way to do this to do it by making the private sector take the risk? And that's really what's happening here, right? This is a project where we are putting up the money up front, we're taking the risk, and only on the back end is there public support, right? Because there's also public benefit when we complete these projects. And so that's really a model that's different, I think, than what we see in a lot of other markets, in a lot of other places. And so I think it's a powerful model for public-private partnership that will lead to growth.
Keith, you want to add to that?
I think Andrew summarized it quite well. So ditto.
And so, I don't know if you heard me this morning testifying before that august body that, by the way, my daughter is the president of. And I shared that, there's some reasonable concern for people in the neighborhoods that this promise of Coleman Young, that if we rebuild downtown, it will carry over to the neighborhoods. Now, trust me, there's been change. But to be able to saddle you guys with the responsibility of reviving the entire town, I don't think is quite fair. I do think the mayor has made some significant progress in terms of targeting community neighborhoods. I'm a developer myself. I just bought an old library and renovated. The mayor came for that. What kind of community benefit? Because I think this is unique. And I only have about a minute in this segment, and I'll just take a break and we'll come back and get to it. But I think this is unique in the sense that, unlike many other projects, you guys have been through this whole community benefits process where you've been forced to really present that information, refine that information, include that as a part of your package, which is not necessarily something that's always been done. And so while I embrace the neighborhoods, I love the neighborhoods, I think that those who sit on council and other folks who raise their voices need to find a way to wield more influence over how we spend our dollars overall. But that's not for you to comment on, that's mine. But I do want to say before we go to the break that our organization and I personally endorse this project, and we support what you're trying to get done through City Council. I urge all those members down there that I know to understand that there's far more support than some of the stuff that you hear from other people. They make more noise, but they don't have the majority of the folks on this side. We'll be right back after this, talk more about the district. All right, you ready?
Winter people, you know who you are. Skiers, skaters, sledders, snowboarders, snowshoe enthusiasts. What are you doing inside? This glorious season ain't gonna last forever. Sooner or later, spring will come. Until then, this is where you play. Your Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, where all 13 parks are open all winter long. They're your Metro Parks. Ski, skate, sled, slide, or shoe your way over.
At the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department, we're working hard to protect pipes by cleaning public sewer lines to reduce flooding and speeding up the replacement of lead service lines. Protect your pipes with 3 easy tips. Pour grease into containers, toss wipes in the trash can, and check for running toilets, leaky pipes, and dripping faucets. For more tips, go to detroitmi.gov/protect pipes. DWSD, working hard to protect pipes for you.
Welcome back. We're talking about the district. Andrew Cantor, who smiles the entire time. Keith Bradford here to help us understand what this is involving. So let's talk really in depth about what this is. There's 6 new projects. What are they?
Sure. So collectively, there's 1.2 million square feet of office. All right. 146,000 square feet of retail, 467 hotel rooms, and 695 residential units, of which 20% of those are affordable to that 50% area median income. So that's the aggregate of those. it's a combination of brand new build and some historic renovation. You know, historic buildings such as the Fox office building is one example of that, where it's a great, wonderful theater below that Fox office building, but the office building itself is probably not what office users are looking for today. So we're converting that historic building into a boutique hotel right there at the Fox Theater. We think it's a lovely complement to what already happens there at the theater. We're also building another historic example would be the American Hotel, which is at Cass and Temple. And so that's a residential unit.
Right near the old Masonic Temple.
Right next to it. Yep.
Yeah,
And it's catty corner to the Eddystone, which Olympia
Yeah.
just opened a little over a year ago to great success. So another great example of a historic renovation. We're also bringing back the Detroit Life Building, which is at Park in Columbia, to more residential. And then, and while not technically historical, there's the Moose Lodge, historic Moose Lodge there that is going to be part of the Michigan.
And that's on Cass.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's right
Yeah.
there on Cass.
By the way,
And-
right next to what used to be the Mauna Loa. I don't know if you've heard about
Okay, I'm not
that.
familiar with that location. No.
I used to go there. The Royal Order of Moose is right next door. Beautiful building.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna repurpose that into an incubator site where the students and other new business opportunities can go in there, test their ideas out, and hopefully launch new businesses out of there that stay home in Detroit. Are just a few of the examples of historic. I'll let Andrew take on some of the new build that we're doing as far as office.
Yeah. So I think one thing that makes this really interesting is the combination of the historic that Keith mentioned and the new together. That's what gives it that real fabric of a city with history and a future. And on the new side, we're planning, I'm probably most excited right now about the two buildings we're building right in front of Comerica Park. This is an office building and a residential building. The office building, best office, it's going to be built in within 200 miles. And then right across the street from it, this residential building that has, premium luxury experience and 20% of the units set aside at those affordable rates that Keith talked about. So you could be paying $700, $800 with views into the ballpark and views of the whole skyline of the city. Right downstairs at the base of that, shops and dining, cultural programming that's really, and local art commitment that we've made. And then a big plaza that's really set up to be the gathering space for Detroit. So when you're coming to a game day, when you're coming to the game, you need that great experience. You go to other cities, you get that. The idea is to build that for Detroit and to make this a place where on the days of the game, it's exciting. And then on the other days, it's still a place where families can come down. We'll have low cost programming and you can go and access things like the like a splash pad and water features and other things like that are all built into this right now. So that's the plan.
So what I have to ask you, because I go to Comerica Park all the time, are you taking my parking lots away that's right in front of the stadium where I park?
So I'm glad you asked that. What we're doing instead actually is we're taking those parking lots and we're building a 2-level garage below the whole, what we call the super block. So all the way from Elizabeth up to Montcalm, from Witherell over to Woodward, there'll be a 2-level state-of-the-art garage built as well. And so we're taking the cars off the street. We're managing the stormwater through these new buildings. So we're doing the things that I think make for a better Detroit. But we're also making sure that, yes, when you come to the game, you can still get in and park.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a little prophetic. I am a pastor, and the stone that was rejected became the chief cornerstone. You may know about that from scripture. And I've always said that God was waiting for Detroit to be, at the bottom or the last, because when we came up, it would be unparalleled. We started on the bottom, now we're on the top. What is it about what's happening in Detroit that makes us so unique right now? I mean, I go places where people used to shun Detroit, and everyone now wants to share what they know about Detroit, what they've seen, and I get nothing but positive feedback from people all over the world.
Look, I will echo your sentiment. I'm not a native Detroiter. I've been in Detroit now for 5 years. And before taking this job here at Olympia Development, had never been to Detroit or Michigan. But since moving here, it's hard not to fall in love with this city and the people of the city. And that's exactly what's happened for my wife and I. And it's because I think a number of things, but one and foremost is the passion of the people that live here and the love of their city just resonates deeply, right? And I look at I've probably hired 50 people onto the Olympic development team in the last 4 years, and every single one of them come back and want to join the company for the same exact reason, is that they want to be a part of the growth and the revitalization and bringing back Detroit the way you just described it, Reverend. And I see that sentiment throughout. And we believe that this project that we're bringing forth is a path towards that. Not that it hasn't already started, but it's the next evolution of bringing Detroit back to the glory that you described earlier.
And I would just say,
go ahead, Andrew.
I was
You're
just gonna say,
beaming. You're already beaming.
yeah, well, because I'm excited about it, because I mean, this has really been a great experience, working through this as a team on this. So I would just say that Detroit has an incredible cultural tradition that's been exported around the world, and so there's not a place you go that doesn't where Detroit doesn't resonate. I think the idea of a manufacturing history and the ability to innovate and build and work hard in America is incredibly important and resonates for people. And then finally, I think the idea of kind of an underdog, right? The idea that this is a place, as you said, that is kind of coming from a really, really hard history, where now that history we can actually talk about kind of the challenges around race, the challenges, right, which and the disenfranchisement that has occurred, and talk about, all right, how do we actually be thoughtful about building back better, right? And companies, when we go across the country, similar to what you said, Reverend, when we talk to companies, they want to be part of it. They want to access both the talent and the hardworking Detroiters that they know are there, as well as the diverse population, because finding that diverse workforce leads to a better product at the end of the day.
So as a preacher, I get paid to put things in certain phraseologies and words that are easy to grasp. And I have one about Detroit, the city that was once written off has now risen up, and we're better for it. And my hope is, by the way, when we take a break, is that some of the things of the past we've learned from, that we will have this harmony and ability to integrate all factors, rich and poor, black and white, city and suburban. When we right back, just ask a couple questions about a few things that I know on people's minds that if I don't ask, they will think I'm on the payroll. We'll be right back after this.
Peace and love. I am Amore Shanae, owner of Amore Natural Way Natural Hair and Braiding Salon, located West Detroit at 13201 Grand River. We specialize in all braids, twists, and locking services. We offer complimentary wine and refreshments with service, and we can promise you a peaceful, positive, and professional experience. To book with us, give us a call and follow us on Instagram at Amore Natural Way Salon.
The Detroit Water and Sewerage Department is looking for motivated Detroiters to be a part of our team. We have opportunities for field services technicians, engineers, and customer service specialists with competitive pay and benefits. Make a real difference with the work you do every day. Join other Detroiters who are taking part protecting the pipes where we live, work, and play. Learn more and apply at detroitmi.gov/jobs. DWSD, working hard for you.
Having a great conversation here with Andrew Cantor and Keith Bradford about the district. And we just were on a euphoric ride for a moment, imagining what Detroit is going to be like. And for me, that's important because I know what it was. My grandparents bought a house on Hazelette in Milford in 1921. My dad and I both went to Sampson Elementary School. And that house was the first piece of property that his family owned, in America. And we sold that house in like 2002. That's how long they lived there. And I only say that because, people came here with the hope that Detroit was going to offer something different. And I kind of feel like what we see going on now is the same thing. But let me ask a couple questions. Some of the people in the hearing suggested that we don't need the office space. We don't need the residential, addition. What do you say to that?
On the office side, because I think that's the biggest question that we do get is, why do you need new office? because the old office doesn't work anymore. That's truly the answer. If you think about the way that people work to get today, what they're looking for collaboration, innovation, gathering together. And you can't do that in an office building that was built for a time when everyone shut their door and worked privately alone, right? The column spacing don't work, the windows don't work, the elevators don't work for that. And so what we're doing is we're taking those older buildings like the Detroit Life building that was built as an old office building, we're converting that to residential, right? We need more residential in the city, there's no doubt about it. And so we're bringing more places for people to live. And then that allows us to build the new office space that is going to allow us to both keep jobs in the city and create new jobs as companies come and want to be part of it.
So in essence, those older buildings that were once office space no longer fit the present need.
That's correct.
And so it's not that you need more space, you just need the right space.
Exactly right.
Exactly. Okay. Keith, you want to add to that?
I think the only thing I would add is we're also, the Center for Innovation that we talked about with the University of Michigan, that whole academic campus. We've also seen in other cities where that type of infusion of academia and growing talent also attracts businesses too. And that's one of the hopes here, is that as we open up that Center for Innovation, that businesses, and organizations outside of the state of Michigan move to Detroit to be associated with this renowned university and what it brings to the table. We've seen that in places like Cornell Tech and New York. You see it in Northern Virginia right now with HQ2 at Amazon and what they're doing there. There is just a ton of growth that can spur out of that. And so out of that, not only businesses want to be a part of that and talk to that talent that Andrew spoke of earlier, this diverse talent that exists in Southeast Michigan from all the great universities, capture that, pull that forward, we think will create a whole new level of office demand as well.
So another question people raise is about local participation, skilled trades, businesses that will be a part of this. What do you have planned for some Detroit-based businesses and skilled trades folks, people who look like me?
Yeah, so that was a huge point of conversation, I guess, was we went through the Neighborhood Advisory Committee as we talked about the CBO. And you mentioned that a few moments ago. The CBO that we're bringing forward as out of the Neighborhood Advisory Committee is the largest the city has ever seen. Total community benefits of north of $166 million. We're also contributing approximately $12 million in cash contributions to that. And many of those to address the issue you just described. How do we help Detroiters, not only in the 6,000 and 12,000 jobs that we discussed earlier, but also give them the ability to have economic inclusion in the project, right? How do they have maybe small businesses participate in some of the retail opportunities that we're opening up? How do we make sure that the skilled trades are, look, we have a ton of work that we're doing, but we're not the only development going on in town, right? And so there is a shortage of supply of skilled labor that needs to be met. And that can be done in a number of ways. So we've got several programs that are helping, a fast track program, for example, helping people get introduced to the skilled trades, moving them into permanent jobs. We're offering things such as an opportunity connector, which is a storefront location, a retail location right in the heart of the district where people can come find out about jobs. How do I get my business as a part of this? And not only will they have job opportunities through that opportunity connector, we're also that's where you're going to be able to come and learn about affordable housing opportunity as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a number of ways, many, many more. And I'll leave room for Andrew to tack on to that.
Sure. And I would just really, I think, highlight the $100 million target that we set for spending with disadvantaged businesses, Detroit-based businesses, and certified MBE type businesses. And that to us, right, that was really something that Chris Jackson, who has developed in Detroit, wanted to make sure got in there, and we worked closely with him and worked through that. And I think that's pretty unprecedented for a commitment of that size, and that's going to create real big opportunities for Black and Hispanic owned businesses across Detroit.
So as we close, there was a lady that I happen to know, woman by name, who also testified today in favor of, and she started by saying she's never been a big fan of villages. But what she said was she supported this because she never had seen a process like this before. where you guys actually got it right. You started from the bottom up. You had, opportunities for people to hear your presentations, ask questions, which a lot of times development is top down, not bottom up. And so we got about a minute and a half. Say what you want to say to the Detroit public. They're taxpayers, they're voters, and encourage them to support this, as I do.
Yeah, I love that comment. In fact, I'm gonna quote Ryan English Barnhill, who works on the team. She's led our efforts over the last 2 years of doing our community outreach. And, we've had over 250 outreach prior to even starting the process. We wanted to listen. And she, not only, her quote is, not only, are we building this for Detroiters, but we're building this with Detroiters. And I think that's a very important statement, in the sense that we've tried to be inclusive as we can be, reaching out to understand what is it that you're looking for? What is it that we need to bring forward in these projects? And it was very heartwarming as we got into the CBO process and got in with the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. Much of what we heard of them asking for, we had already heard from the community as well, the broader community. And so that was, okay, we were hitting on the right pieces. And one of those, overwhelming, was this affordable housing piece. And that's why, as opposed to what's required of the city, 20% and 80% of area median income, we came in at 50%, because that's what we heard. That's just one example of something we heard from almost everyone that needed more of.
Yeah. Right, Andrew, you got the last word.
All I'd say is that we're planning for growth, and I think that growth is something that every Detroiter I talk to wants to see, right? Because growth creates opportunity, it creates jobs, and we're the ones taking the risk up front on this. We're doing it in a collaborative way, but we're at risk with our dollars up front, and so we're just asking that people give us a chance, let us take the risk, and then we're going to move forward and create a lot of opportunity broadly for all Detroiters.
Well, it was once said that Detroit put the world on wheels and ran out of gas, but with the district, we retooled and refueled, and the best is yet to come. Good luck. This is another edition of Real Talk. I'm Reverend Sheffield. Remember, never ask anyone to do for you what you're unwilling to do for yourself. See you next week.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabree, encouraging all taxpayers to please take advantage of the several payment options available.
You can pay online by visiting the Wayne County Treasurer's Office website. Paying online is easy and convenient.
You can also download the mobile app and pay with your smartphone.
You can pay at one of 70 kiosks located throughout Wayne County.
And yes, you can always still send in your payments using the U.S. Postal Service.
If you have to visit our office in person, you must make an appointment by going to treasurer.waynecounty.com. It only takes a few minutes. Facial covering or mask is required and social distancing is observed. Your health and safety is very important to us. You can also email our office at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990.
Take a walk down this path through Detroit. This is real talk. Real issues straight from the heart. Giving you real talk. Take a walk down this path through Detroit. This is real talk.